Welcome to episode 69 of Book Nerd Paradise, where we get to know an author as they tell us one of their favorite quotes, read from their work, pose a trivia question, and give away a book or two. Hi, I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. And for those of you who have more recently started watching, I wanted to make mention that the ebooks of both Power of the Air's Passion, which is the prequel, as well as Blast of the Dragon's Fury, which is book 1, in the Andy Smithson series, are both available for free download on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play. So if you haven't had an opportunity to do so, feel free to go get a copy. Cool. All right, well, today I'm excited to announce that we have joining us YA sci-fi author Jonas Lee. And I have to say, it is hard to find really good sci-fi authors. I don't know what it is. Typically, fantasy authors seem to be a dime a dozen. I mean, I am one too, right? But I'll tell you, it is hard to find sci-fi authors for this show. So I don't know if it's YA sci-fi doesn't thrive. I haven't figured it out. But today we are privileged to be able to meet Jonas Lee, who is one of the rare gems. So, by way of introduction, Jonas is an author from the Black Hills of South Dakota. Living in the ever-changing climate with his wife and daughter, he likes to keep his mind occupied with stories that entertain and provoke thought. A child of the 80s, his imagination has always run rampant with thoughts of time travel, other dimensions, religion, and the fight of good versus evil. Ooh, that's always good. Please join me in welcoming Jonas Lee.
Hi there. Thanks for having me on.
Great to see you today.
Yeah, I don't see too many of my ilk out there, so it's nice to actually be on somewhere and kind of give props to us all.
Absolutely, yes. Happy to do so, because there's nothing like a good sci-fi, right? But it's not easy to find. Jonas, you're going to be reading from your young adult sci-fi novel, A Time to Reap, which is book 1 in the Legend of Carter Gabel. So that we can get a feel for the book, can you give us a brief synopsis of it, please?
A Time to Reap, it's set in the distant alternate future, and it's where people are diagnosed with having a genetic defect of some sort. Those defects they affect certain people with an ability to either read minds or time travel. And the people who have telepathy and telekinesis, they are deemed eventuals, whereas the time travelers are called leapers, and that's what Carter Gabel is. He's a leaper. So spontaneously, he can time travel back into the past and back to the future again. Carter's like other kids his age with his affliction and spontaneously traveling back in time at any given moment. He attends a specialized school for leapers and eventuals like himself, where he can learn to cope, control, and maintain his described disorder. And then one day, Carter is realizing there's more to his condition than he originally thought, and starts to get caught up on this roller coaster ride of discovering what else his ability is able to do and how people around him are not all that they seem to be. So it's a fun, quick-paced tale from his perspective, and he's a really snarky, sarcastic teenager who has a problem filtering his mouth with questions because he's always curious. And then he comes up and encounters different scenarios while he's trying to understand this new ability of his.
All right, so then you've also selected a favorite quote. If you would tell us what it is and then share with us why it's a favorite.
The quote that I chose was actually by Dr. Seuss, and it has stuck with me as long as I've been reading Dr. Seuss. It goes, "Those who matter don't mind, and those that mind don't matter." And for me, it was always something telling me, be who you are, because those that actually care about you will always be with you, and those that don't care what you think, you don't need to care about them. So.
You're also going to be giving away a book or two. What are you giving away?
I am going to be giving away, I'll give away 2 copies of the paperback to this. It's open domestic and international. If you're an international person, I'm sorry I won't be able to sign it for you. if you are domestic, I will, and get it out to you as soon as I possibly can.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So 2 paperback copies, guys. So, and it doesn't matter where you live in the world. So be it domestic, US, or international, make sure you enter. Now, how you enter? In the comment section right below here, all you need to do is leave a comment about the show. And if you would please also leave a Twitter handle, Facebook address, or an email address, so that if you are one of our 2 lucky winners, we can be sure to contact you and get that to you. And Jonas, you're going to be reading from your YA sci-fi novel, A Time to Reap, which I said is the Legend of Carter Gabel series book 1. If you would, set up the portion you'll be reading from and then share with us.
I chose something early on. It's where he's been getting notes every time he's leaped back into his own timeline. And at one point he gets caught up in an event, and when he wakes up in his bed, the note is actually scribbled on his arm telling him not to trust his mother. So I'm going to be reading from that point on. The message is disturbing, I admit. The one person on this earth I trust more than I do myself is apparently the one I shouldn't. So saith the Crayola washable marker on my forearm. I don't recall ever having the need to scrub something off my skin quite as ferociously as in these moments before my mother enters the house. The suds and water splash about the sink as though a dog had decided to spin dry in the basin. The alarm system for the house pings as my mother approaches the door by the garage. I hear the fluid, metallic clunking of the deadbolts unlocking as she nears. A task made quicker by the house fob she carries. Modern conveniences that take the physical action of unlocking a door don't help me by any necessary time. A quick pat dry and I'm good, minus the red friction marks all along my arm. Anything is better than the monumental icebreaker my mom could have seen scribbled there moments ago. Hello? Oh, great. Hey, Mom. She loves it when I yell things down at her from upstairs. Get down here and say hello like a human, please. Case in point. And there is the cue to be civil and social. Steps, I can't help but glance at the portraits hanging along the wall. Most are of my mom and me, a few from family holidays, and lastly, the only remaining photo of my mom, my dad, and myself. She still hasn't taken it down. It's been 4 years, Mom. I'm pretty certain he's not coming back. As I reach the bottom step, my mind swirls. What to do with my newfound information, or rather warning. The closer I get to my mother in the kitchen, the harder it is to stir up my options, as if they were melting marshmallows beginning to cool. Carter, my dear, I can't sarcasm or not. Mom, how was your trip? It was full of tickles and joy, my boy. Classic line my mom always uses to describe anything of little merit. Now, you mentioned a curio cabinet on the phone. Oh, crap sandwiches. I would say that. And right before finding out something monumental I need to keep to myself. I'm not sure if I fully believe the scribble on my arm, but in the split-second decision I have, a part of me pauses at telling the truth. Yeah, the note. In my years of encountering my mother during these forks in the road between my conscious mind and my gut, I have learned the more time I invest in deciding, the guiltier my response appears to be. So I immediately follow with the hands-down best excuse of my young adult life. I may have stretched the truth there. Wait for it. Stretched? I can sense her blood pressure from here. I like to think of it as a peripheral of the truth. The upward inflection to my voice doesn't sound convincing, more like I'm asking her if what I said was right or not. Peripheral. One-word clarifications. Nice tactic, Mother. Touche. Might be more of a satellite, Carter. Yep, here it comes. Pay attention. I may have mistakenly used the curio cabinet. Flinch and brace for impact. Carter James Gabel. And we have collision. It's the triple combo of any proper mother ready to deploy punishment of epic proportions. Mom, no, you don't do that, Carter. That word is a safe word. A drop everything and trust word. A never ever to be used for any reason other than what it's intended for word. I'm not certain, but I may have overstepped the success that I think my strategy has brought. Mainly the scornful, elevated tones are there, but her movements are dangerously calm. Mom generally uses her arms to talk as much as her mouth. Mom, I'm sorry. It just snowballed from the leap to the briefing to the bed to school. I never had much time to process what the best steps were in those moments. That is mostly true. Carter, the reason we have that word is not just to rush past uncomfortable moments. It's a pact between the two of us, a promise we trust in whatever the case may be if that word is spoken. Now you've turned a flawless system into a corrupted one. I didn't mean to. This is the recoil of my strategy. I knew it would be difficult, but she's lathering the guilt icing on this punishment cake pretty thick. Well, Carter, there are accidents and there is just lazy stupidity. And you are not stupid, but this was a monumental mistake. I mean, anytime you use the word from this point forward, I will pause and wonder if I should believe you. Ouch. Yeah, this tactic, although a proven winner, is rough to stomach. This isn't just angering her, it touches on a basic level of trust she has in me. Granted, from her perspective, this is low on the scale of trust issues. For me, I'm still wondering just how far to take the words of Raymond Lord.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm laughing as you're reading this thing. I can see this. This is like an average teenager, right? Oh dear. Guest author last episode, YA fantasy author D. Nicole King posed a trivia question.
My trivia question was a quote from Harry Potter. Of course it is happening inside your head, Harry, but why on earth should that mean it is not real? And I want to know, where is Harry when Dumbledore says this to him? Harry is in King's Cross Station inside of his mind.
Jonas, what question did you have for us?
For my trivia or my question, I chose one from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows because I just finished it. And Luna Lovegood and Harry Potter are trying to get into the Ravenclaw common room. And to do that, you have to answer the riddle. The riddle was, which came first, the phoenix or the fire?
Okay, well, for those of us who don't quite remember the answer to that, it's kind of a toughie. Okay, that'll be good. So make sure that if you haven't yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, you definitely click that little button right over there, that red one right there. It says subscribe. The reason I say that is because if you don't know the answer, you're certainly going to want to hear it when Jonas reveals it next episode. So make sure you subscribe, and then you don't have to remember to tune in. It'll be pushed right to you. Jonas, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I've been wanting to write since I was probably 12. Decided I was going to do it when I was 18, and finally ended up getting to it when I was in my 30s. So for anybody out there that has that story in them or knows that writing is what they want to do, I implore you, if it's independently or traditionally, keep writing, keep collecting stories, and keep trying.
That's great. Yes, absolutely. Because, well, what I always go to is you are the only one who can make your, your hopes, your dreams come true. So, well spoken. I like that. That's good. All right. Well, with those words, that brings to a close this episode. Boy, it's hard to believe, huh? Already 69 episodes under our belts. Wow. All right. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed getting to know Jonas Lee just a little bit. And like I said, he's one of those rare birds, or YA sci-fi author. So if you haven't checked out his work yet, make sure you do, especially if you love science fiction, because there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of it out there. So, all right. Well, I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I so appreciate your loyalty and just the fact that you keep watching. It means a lot to me. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode as well, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.